What's going on, people? Welcome back to more Xenoblade Chronicles. Today I thought to do something incredibly unique that I haven't seen anyone else do in the community. As we know, the voice work in Xenoblade games are incredible, but today I thought we might as well do something obscure and rank the screams of Xenoblade Chronicles. I'll play the clip of the characters' voices and share my thoughts about what I think, ranking it from a scale of 1 to 10 on the pain scale. Full disclosure that this will include endgame spoilers for the characters, so if you haven't played the game, I would turn away now. If you enjoy this type of content for whatever reason, then please feel free to subscribe as that always helps, and with that said, let's move on to our first screamer. Alright, so here we are on the Bionis leg, starting strong with none other than Mr. Monado himself, Shulk. If you look straight ahead, you can see a cliff just over there where our contestants will be jumping from, hopefully giving us their best screams. If you were going to ask me how to describe the word agony, this is what I'd point you to. Outside of being quite possibly the most blood-curdling screams in the franchise, it's also the most recognizable. Many people use Shulk's scream in their video edits, and it makes me wonder why Super Smash Bros. Didn't reuse this for his star KO. This is a definitive 10 out of 10 on the pain scale. Our next contestant is the lovable meathead Reyn, who also happens to be Shulk's best friend. He's got a military background, so looking at this guy, you'll probably think he's got some lungs on him. So let's go ahead and see exactly what he's capable of. Surprisingly a lot more tame than Shulk's scream, Reyn still delivers something that still sounds painful. You can hear that strain in his voice, which definitely adds to the piece. However, I will knock off a point or two since it does sound like Reyn is just taking a fall on stage during production. Credit where credit's due, I'll still give Reyn a solid 8 out of 10 since it was a tough act to follow. Next in line is Sharla, the medic. I'll be honest and say I actually haven't heard her scream before, so this is going to be a first for a lot of us. Let's see what our medic brings to the table. Ooh, and disappointingly, Sharla did not deliver on her scream, if we even want to call that a scream. As a matter of fact, it just sounded like she tripped over her own shoelace in the hallway. I don't have a lot to say about Sharla's scream, except for that it was a massive letdown. Her final score is a 3 out of 10, making it the weakest so far. Moving on, let's give a warm welcome to the hero of the Homs, Dunban. Born in a world of strife, this man has seen a lot, so I can only imagine what kind of sound he'll make. Hopefully this contestant brings out a much better performance. Looking at someone like Dunban, that's about the kind of scream that I would expect from him. What I really like about this one is that Dunban's scream fits well with his character. It's reserved, which works for a stoic character like him, but it's not dull, and that's the important part. Octaves better than Sharla's, Dunban scores a solid 7 out of 10. While Dunban recovers from his fall, we bring in our next member, Melia Antiqua. A fun piece of trivia that not many people know is that Melia is our only contestant who has a last name. She's a lot more reserved than Dunban due to being part of the royal family of the High Entia, but will that stop her from expressing herself now? Let's find out together. Looks like those little wings didn't do anything to help her. Melia's scream was pretty moderate. I thought the inflections in her voice worked, and I definitely got the feeling that she was screaming. However, like one of her competitors, Melia did sound a little flat, or rather rough around the edges. For these reasons, I feel like she deserves a 5 out of 10. Not bad by any means, but give her a little while and she'll improve. Moving on to our second to last screamer is the legendary Heropon, Riki. This Nopon might look like a soft little furball, but despite his appearance, he can pack quite the punch. If you've listened to any of his battle quotes, you already know that he has a big set of lungs, but let's see how well he performs in a screaming competition. Not exactly what I expected, but at the same time it feels almost perfect for someone of his stature. My immediate thought when listening to that sounded like somebody gut-punched Riki and then threw him straight across the room. Given how much of a higher pitch his voice has compared to his competitors, it's impressive what he was able to accomplish without it coming off as annoying or ear-piercing. For that, Riki earned himself a solid 7 out of 10. Now I want to take a quick intermission since our next member is the biggest spoiler of the game. If you're still watching up to this point, I would turn away now if you want to avoid said spoilers. However, if you don't mind spoilers, then enjoy the rest of the competition. Our final competitor of this screaming competition is none other than Fiora, more commonly known as Seven. Now, Seven doesn't exactly have the greatest voice around, especially if you listen to the way she jumps. However, this isn't a jumping contest, so with that said, let's see what our final member can pull off. And surprisingly, that was actually one of the best screams yet. Rivaling Shulk's scream of agony, Seven manages to bring a similar feel to hers. However, while it may not be as agonizing as Shulk's, the inflections in Seven's voice are nearly identical. It's still different enough to be her own scream instead of copying someone else, but because it lacks that extra oomph that some of our other competitors have, Seven scored herself a solid 9 out of 10. Each of these members brought something to the table and really distinguished themselves from each other. Our top 3 screamers of this show are as follows. Taking home the bronze medal is Reyn, who previously scored an 8 out of 10. It was a close match between him and Dunban, but in the end, Mr. Alley-oop himself was able to get the right amount of gruff in his voice, which gave him the edge. Coming in at second place with a 9 out of 10 is Seven, who also had a close match with her competitors. Had it not been for that oomph that I mentioned earlier, she probably would have scored for the big wins. And taking home the gold in first place with a perfect 10 out of 10 score is Mr. Monado himself, Shulk. As stated in the beginning, I was able to describe a single word with his scream, which none of the other competitors were able to accomplish. It was an incredible competition to watch unfold, and I thank you all so very much for watching. Look forward to a potential jumping contest in the future and maybe some new faces. This has been your host, signing off.